I've got one fresh off the boat. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. But let's just go ahead and check out this new signature piece. Wow, that is quite the interesting case as well as a bass. Did you notice we've got 5 strings instead of 4? Oh man, I don't know how I'm going to play this thing. But besides our 5-stringedness, it's kind of an interesting bass because it's more so Jazzmaster in style rather than jazz bass necessarily. So it's kind of a fresh, interesting take in that aspect. But you've got the jazz bass style pickup here with your P there. And there is a light aging treatment to this with an anodized aluminum pickguard. You also have some finish checking over here. But the brand for this one is Black Smoker. And it's a signature model for one of the members in Band-Maid. So Band-Maid, if you're not familiar, it's a group of ladies over in Japan that know how to rock hard. Like, yeah, most of them have the maid costume, and it's kind of a gimmick, but I guarantee you 90% of my audience would actually enjoy the music they produce. Don't let their size and outfits fool you. But a couple of years ago, we documented the Flappy Pigeon on the channel. That was a cool Midas, but that was a signature guitar for Miku. But this time, it's for Misa, the bassist of the operation. And she has paired with Black Smoker. Now, I'd personally never heard of this brand before. Apparently, it's kind of a big thing in Japan. They first started in the year 2016. It's just a 2-person team with Sonichi and Yanagasawa as the senior and master builders. And judging by their website, it seems like most of them are Fender in style. There's one that's kind of also Ibanez-like, but they have some really interesting takes. But when it comes to looking at boutique-level instruments, looking at it online, that'll never tell you anything. It's feeling it in person. Because so far, what I feel right here is 1000% quality. I had no idea what to expect. This is not even my bass. I have a group of viewers who just love Band-Maid and they want all of their signature instruments, so they always contact me when a new one comes out. So I have not 1, not 2, but 3 of these in the same room. How cool is that? Having a sample size of 3 boutique instruments is great. You can really judge the quality, but these feel like really nice lacquer finishes. But look how evenly aged they all are. You've got that pattern right there on each of the pick guards. You've got the ding right here with minor variations on all the other 3. Then you have this other batch on all of them, although this one's a little bit different. But they're 2-piece alder bodies, so they're all going to be a little bit different in that aspect. This one has a lot of ringy wood grain with a whole bunch of mineral streakage going on, whereas this one's a little bit more straight up and down, whereas this has like that perfect blend between the 3. With all the wear patterns being so similar, they must be recreating one of Misa's basses, as many of them that she plays through. In fact, one of these orders, they were trying to get him to do it in white, but they said no, since it was a limited run. But I love the way they do the logos on these. It's actually etched into the wood so finely. And really deep, too, so it stands out. But that becomes really cool for the backside of the headstock, as well as Misa's little skull here. But they do number these. It's a little bit more faint, but this one's number 26. We got a 14 and number 28. How many are they making? I don't know. Maybe they just number them so they can keep track, or maybe there's a published number somewhere. I was unable to find that. It's a Japanese website. Google Translate will only get you so far. But before we head over to the workbench to check out the detailed specs, look at the case on these things. That's cool. So Flappy Pigeon had this kind of blue and white trimmed case, which was nice. It just kind of felt cheap. But this one, it's got our skull, it's got the Band-Maid, it's got Black Smoker, and it's really cool Halloween-like colors with kind of a darker orange with black trim. The latches are of decent quality, and you have a basic handle with a key attached to it. But I was pleasantly surprised with the interior. Kind of reminds me of the Gibson Custom Shop ones. It's a nice dark burgundy color, which works really great with that 3-tone sunburst color. But I was curious if we had any COA or anything else fancy. Ah, man, no? Nothing? Oh no, the Midas had so much cool stuff. But it looks like we just have a little pamphlet talking about your Godot tuners as well as your Allen wrench. I would assume this one might be for your bridge and truss rod. And then inside of our black plain envelope, I guess this kind of acts as your COA. You can see the official model name right there, and it does list your serial number. That's about it. But then they do have a nice little spec sheet in here. So awesome presentation with the bass in the case, but as far as the candy, yeah, I think they could have did something a little bit fancier there. Because these are not inexpensive. They're 495,000 yen, plus import duties and taxes and shipping to get one of these to the United States. It runs you about $5,000, all said and done. But to learn more about this one, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs. Now these are being custom built as they're ordered. How long did it take for these to arrive? It was about 6 months. That earthquake in Japan definitely slowed things down and added a couple more months to our wait. But so far, I've got to say, I am really impressed with the quality. When they were ordering these, I was like, I don't know about this review, but I'll do it for you guys because I appreciate you. But now that I've seen a Black Smoker in person, I would love to try one of their guitars because somehow they've nailed the feel of an old nitro finish. Like, every manufacturer has some sort of an aging process nowadays. And Gibson likes to do lacquer, but this feels like an old guitar and smells like it too, but yet new at the same time. I don't know what aging techniques that they're using, but they're onto something here. I can see why they could potentially be so popular over there. But our pickups are actually custom for this guitar. I'm not sure if they wind them or if they have them specially made. But these are the P5 MISA pickups and the J5 MISA pickup. So if you're not familiar with how basses work, jazz basses typically have 2 of this style pickup, and then a P bass only has these 2. So that's what's kind of fun about this, is the fact that they've borrowed the Jazzmaster body, but have both of the pickup styles of the 2 popular Fender basses. But this is not an uncommon pickup setup by any means. But you can see the windings there, and they use these foam blocks on the back to help set your height adjustment. And you know what? I just now realized something. They're different sizes. That's probably because it's a 5-string, though. I've never torn one of those apart. That makes sense. But those routes are clean, and they're shielded off. And here's a look at the J5 MISA. But it's constructed in a very similar manner with a foam block on the back. And they do have these black covers over top of them to protect the pickup windings. They're just not soldered into place because they do not need to be. But check out the wiring. So clean. Very nice work, my friends. CTS 250K pots. They do a lot of wiring on the side just to keep it nice and clean. And your route's looking pretty fantastic there. But here's the backside of the anodized pickguard. And you've got 2 volume controls with a master tone. So this will be your P pickups, this will be your jazz pickup, and then this is a master tone on both of them. And you've got your output jack on the front. And you'll notice this company's smart. You don't have truss rod adjustment at the bottom, even if it would be more historically accurate. These guys don't have to play by the rules of vintage. It's user-friendly up here. I thought the bridge was kind of interesting too. It secures using 5 screws, 2 in each corner and 1 in the middle. But each of the outside saddles actually has 2 different adjustment screws where they groove into it so it doesn't move. And at first I was like, okay, why didn't they just do that for all of them? It's because having these 2 anchoring points on the edge keeps them all together. I'm not sure if that's important to bassists, but hey, it happened. But now let's get our pickup readings. I just realized something. You don't have a pickup selector switch, it's bass territory. So not only are these volumes, but they're also kind of a blending control. So just our bridge pickup is going to be 7.95 in the circuit. And then if we roll that off and turn our neck on, it's 11.16 k ohms. And then you can have both of them together, reading about 4.82 if that means anything for you. This is a 2-piece alder body. I decided to use the one with the most complex wood grain for the workbench segment, and then we'll use a different one for the B-roll, and another one for the playing demo, just to keep it fair. All 3 of them get used. But you've got real mother-of-pearl dot inlays on our fretboard, and this is an Indian rosewood board. But look at the frets. So immaculate and shiny. They've completely rolled over the edges, so it's not sharp in the slightest. That's always that fine detail touch. And besides just our fret ends, look at how rounded over the edge of the fretboard is. They've rolled that extremely. And the fretboard is so finely sanded. Usually rosewood's a little scratchy, but this one's just so velvety smooth. It even feels like our bone nut has been lacquered, or at least super highly polished. But I measure 1.9 inches at the nut, 2.58 by the 12th. First fret neck depth 0.83, and 0.98 by the 12th. Being a 5-string, this neck feels ridiculously wide, but it's definitely on the slimmer C shape, but it does get chunkier as you go up here. Here's a look at the neck profile of our hard maple neck. So the bass side of the neck has a little bit more of a hump over here, whereas the treble side tapers off just a little bit more. I'm not sure if I would have recognized that had I not taken the contour gauge reading. But this looks like a loom inlay, so under black light or in the dark it should glow. But this utilizes 20 frets. But your scale is 34 inches and you have a 12-inch fretboard radius. And here's our headstock. Definitely Fender inspired, but hey, they changed it up even though they didn't technically have to unless they want to sell to the US market. But again, I love their branding right here. However, I feel like maybe they could do more because it looks rather plain. But you've got a pretty interesting string tree right here and the truss rod route that we were talking about earlier. You can see it sleeping in there. And here's a look at the top of our Godot tuners. It's poke it down, wrap it around style. The back we don't have tons to talk about, but again, it is 2 pieces. You can see our seam line right there. It's got a comfort cut over here, a little bit of wear as we were talking about. And again, all the finish checking and cool wood grain that you get to appreciate, as well as some more nicks and dings along the edges as intended. But you've got a strap button down here, a large one, and another one up here. I feel like they could have did more with the neck plate. Maybe her skull design could have been on it, but since they had it up here, they probably didn't want to go too crazy. The finish, I think it would take a little bit to get used to, but it definitely feels like one of those older guitars. It's just the lacquer has a certain aged quality to it. Like if you're really sweaty, I could see how you might stick to this until you kind of break it in a little bit more, but just from the feel alone, it has that really hard lacquer feel to it. Because I never really thought about it. You always hear about, oh yeah, boutique guitars, they're so cool, they're great. And how production level Japanese guitars are also awesome. But I never thought about a boutique Japanese built guitar. But at the same time, great guitars are built all around the world. What matters is the builder, not the country. But they call this one Black Smoker Beta, crafted by Black Cloud. And there's a closer look at our little skull dude. It's just so cool how that's just wood burnt in there. Or maybe it's just a branding stick. But once again, there's our serial number, 26 on this one. All said and done, this one is 9 pounds, 3.6 ounces. A different one is a little bit less at a little over 9. And our third one here, 9 pounds, 6 ounces. So it appears to be, 9 to 9.5 pounds is the average here. So let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this one sounds. Okay, so this is your first time with a 5-string bass. It's just your regular strings, E, A, D, G, but you get a low B. There we go, Misa's new bass. Every time I see her on stage and I see this kind of quirky headstock, now I know what she's playing and I understand how it feels. It's fantastic. I'm not much of a bass player, so I don't really use my demo to gauge this one. This was just running through Logic Pro, not an actual bass amp, so it probably sounds better through real stuff. But if you've been looking for a boutique Japanese builder, I would highly suggest these guys. If their guitars are anything like this, the quality is just going to be insane. But the price also matches that, so it's a high-end instrument. If you're a fan of Band-Maid, maybe check one of these things out. But I need to get these 3 onto their new homes, but if you need help getting a different guitar from Japan, feel free to reach out. Sometimes I can help, sometimes I can't. Japanese manufacturers, for some reason, have been really cracking down on the export of their exclusives lately. But the one thing about this, if you learn nothing else, the finish. It feels so good. Alright, Troglodytes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoy watching me try to play bass, you might enjoy this one where there were no frets, but it was a cool blue color.